everybody. Get this adjusted. Got some new lights behind the camera, so hopefully that helps with the video quality a little bit. Saw a smoking deal on Amazon. They're two different lights. You can control the brightness on them, and they have tripods, which I thought was really cool. And they were like 20 bucks on Prime deal. So I picked those up, so hopefully they're doing okay. I hope everybody has had a good week. It's Friday, so the weekend is here. I'm glad to see everybody's filtering in. 53 people right now. Welcome to the OFR after party, if you will. I do this every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. If you want to be updated on content, hit the notification bell. Anyways, let's start tonight with some fish updates. If you guys saw, I did a short video. That's what they're called. They're called shorts. It's a new thing YouTube's been doing. I'm sure you've seen other channels posting these 1 minute or less videos with the hashtag shorts. You're actually supposed to do that hashtag, so if you think people are doing that because they're being funny or something, you actually have to do that per YouTube. Anyways, I thought I'd try it out, and today I uploaded one short video, and it was of 10 albino iridescent sharks I picked up today. And what it was about, if you didn't see the video, is Clinton, which is a good friend of OFR. He's been on their live streams. He's the guy that had the broken leg last year and was still helping out OFR doing the koi pond build. He was looking for iridescent sharks. So I basically special ordered them and got him 10. And you're thinking 10 iridescent sharks, that's a lot. These are babies, so they're only 2 to 3 inches long. And Clinton's a monster fish keeper. He has a lot of fish tanks. I've been to his house once, and anywhere you look in his house, he has a monster fish tank. So I had no problem knowing that he would take good care of these. Now, if somebody was trying to special order iridescent shark for their 10-gallon tank, and that's the only tank they had, I would kindly decline their special order. But just letting you guys know, if there's any fish that you guys are wanting that I don't normally stock, you can reach out to me. The email is sales@614fish.com, and I can see if I can get you the fish. Now, I do get the random emails of some rare fish, and right now, because of everything going on around the world, some fish you just can't get right now. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the shorts video, but I do like that feature for the fact that I can do quick updates to you guys without being penalized on the channel. As if I did a 1 minute video and it's not short, the YouTube algorithm wouldn't like that very much. So tonight, I think I want to tell you guys my thoughts on the garage fish room build out. So it's been on hold all winter, and right now just kind of catching up on other things in life. But I think what I want to do is, tax return season's here. So I think with tax return, like many of you guys, you kind of use that extra money to get things done or buy something that you want. I'm going to use my tax return to build a new shed, because my current shed that was, I don't know how old it is, it was here when I bought my house. It's just starting to fall apart. It was a really cheap wooden shed. The framing is actually not even like bolted to the floor, because the wall is starting to pull away. It's really crappy. So I need to get a new shed. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is, once I have the new shed, my garage things can move out to the shed. And then what that does is free up the garage to start working on the renovations to turn it into a fish room. And there's multiple reasons why I want to do this. And we got a lot of people in here tonight. We are at 62 right now. So I don't know who's been here the longest, who's new. So I'll just kind of recap the garage plans. I want to move the fish tanks in the house out to the garage, because there's more area, and if there's any kind of water issues, it's the garage, no big deal. I don't have a basement, so I don't have to worry about water getting down into the floors anywhere. I do have a gas pipe in the garage, so I need to get that tapped so I can put a gas heater in the garage. So that's going to save me on electricity of heating my current fish room. The other main reason I need to do this is, if you don't know, or if you do know, I do have a 200-gallon cube aquarium that I got from Ohio Fish Rescue, and I also have a 250-gallon sump tank that I got from Ohio Fish Rescue that I'm converting into a tank. Right now, there's really no plans for that. I don't know what I'm going to put in it. Bruce, my Fahaka puffer that I got as a birthday present from Josh at Ohio Fish Rescue again, you know, he's a baby. He's, you know, maybe an inch long. He eventually will get bigger. And knowing that, I need to have a home for him, and it might take a year. I don't know how quickly he'll grow, but that 250 long-term goal is going to be Bruce's home once he gets big enough to require a home like that. So the 250, not really sure. It's probably going to house some community fish. And holy crap, is the quality really crappy? Because it's crappy on my computer. Hopefully, let me get in the chat real quick and see if anybody's saying anything about the video quality. How's your video quality for you guys? Maybe, oh, nope, it was just my computer. And for some reason, it defaulted to the lowest quality setting. It looked like I was playing Minecraft or something. But anyways, that's weird. So, that's the plan. Oh, I guess that's not the plan. Squirrel. That's another thing on my channel is I kind of get off topic and my mind's constantly racing and I just squirrel a lot. But anyways, the 200-gallon cube, that's a front viewing tank only. The sides are blue acrylic. So it's not like a 3-sided or even a 4-sided cube. It's a front view only. So that tank is going to end up in the wall. And what that means is in the garage, the tank will be against the garage wall. I'm going to cut a hole and slide the tank, however thick the wall is, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, into my family room. And that way I'm viewing the tank from inside my house, but the tank physically is in the garage. That way I don't have a big 200-gallon tank in my family room. So I get all the enjoyment from my couches, my dining room, my kitchen, without having that big monster tank right there. Anyways, so in that tank, I do want to do discus. For probably 2 years now, I've always wanted to keep discus, not to breed them, just as my display tank. And I think that 200-gallon cube will be a perfect display tank for some discus. So that's the plan for that. Now, going back to the renovation of the garage, I think with, you know, the shed will be the first step. Get a new shed. There's companies here in Ohio, they're actually Amish, that build the sheds, and they basically come and deliver them. They put them down and they level them. And they're fairly, I don't want to say fairly inexpensive. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. And they do sizes like anywhere from like 8 feet wide up to like 18 feet wide, from 8 feet long to like, I think they go 20 feet or maybe even further than that. So I'm not sure exactly on the size of the tank, the size of the shed I'm getting, but I know I want to at least get something like a step above what I think I need, because you always run out of room. I will get into the chat here in a second, because I see the chat's going super crazy, and I do see some super chats coming through, so I want to, you know, get to those. So don't think I'm missing you. I will get to you. As far as fish and breeding or selling them this year, I haven't sold any fish. It's been 2 months now because of the holidays and winter, and with UPS and USPS and FedEx, everybody's backed up. I feel like we're getting to the end of the not shipping season. So I'm hoping I can start shipping fish here soon, because I got people waiting on those super red bristlenose that are locally bred. And there's other fish that, you know, the diamond tetras are full grown now. They're ready to go. The glow light tetras, guppies, danios. There's a bunch of fish out there that need new homes, right? But as far as directions on taking SC Aquatics through 2021 is, I'm going to focus more on shrimp and also Corridoras. I love Corridoras and the fish lists, the wholesalers. Unfortunately, not my local guy, but online, or not online, but my West Coast suppliers that I've used in the past. They're starting to finally get back in the non-standard, which the like the standard cores would be your like albinos, your greens, Julii, stirbi, things like that. But I started seeing the gold lasers, the green lasers, and some of the other less common corridors. So I want to start getting those in. And those will probably be sooner than later. They'll probably also be a tax return item, mainly because the one wholesaler that has the less common cories has a larger minimum order threshold. So it'll probably be a tax return thing, but I'm excited to get some new corridors that I haven't even personally kept. But the shrimp, that's going to have to get ramped up, and shrimp have been selling really, really well lately. And my local wholesaler is interested in buying shrimp directly from me. There's no details on that. It was just something they mentioned, but I'm not in the position to start supplying you guys and a wholesale operation with shrimp yet. It's not like I'm breeding for profit by selling to you guys and also selling to like a local fish store. This is a wholesaler that wants massive quantities of them. So it's not like taking 50 extra shrimp to a local store, once a month. This is they need 300 shrimp every single week. So hopefully that pans out. And shrimp is kind of what got my fish room started in the first place. So it's kind of coming around full circle, getting back to the roots of the fish room, and taking what I've learned as far as the rack systems and maximizing the shrimp potential, I guess you could say. But let me hop in the chat because I always get way behind on the chat and I need to catch up. And I'm just going to scroll to the top and see what's going on. Matt F, of course, he's always one of the first people to super chat with the 614. If you're wondering, if you're new, why it's 614, that's my website, 614fish.com. And oh, squirrel, right? So speaking of 614, fertilizer will be coming, guys. I know there's people that have been asking about the 614 fertilizer. I've been sold out for a while now. 2 cases will be coming. So if you're not subscribed to the email list on the website, go on the website. A little notification will pop up. Do you want to subscribe? Subscribe, and then if you're interested in the fertilizer, it will be sent out in an email saying, hey, it's back in stock. Here's the link if you want to buy it. Sweet. But back to the super chat. Matt, thank you so much. And he said 614 for the 614 crew. Matt, I really appreciate it. And I see quite a few new names in here tonight, so it's good seeing all you new people. If you're new here and you have a question directed at me for whatever reason or topic, tag me at it because it'll highlight my name in the chat and I can see it easier. But other than that, a lot of side chats go on and people just hang out here. I do have some coffee tonight. But I want to thank everybody that's here. Also, heaters have been out of stock for a while now. And I do plan on getting an order of those coming in shortly. And somebody asked me about the Fluval E series heaters, if I sell those. And I had a list of questions people asked that I was going to kind of address in the live stream. I don't know where that list is currently, but Fluval E series heaters, I do not sell them. They're a really good heater, and there's basically 2 reasons why I don't sell them. My market hold on wholesale pricing is like the same price, like my cost on them is the same prices that you can just buy them from somebody else. So I don't have the margin to be able to sell them. If I could get them cheaper, then I would sell them because they are a really good heater. But the fact is, since I'm not buying direct from Fluval, I'm not getting the killer prices on those. So if my price would be basically me going to some local store buying them and then trying to resell them, it doesn't make sense. And the second thing is they have the worst inventory control ever. Those heaters are always out of stock. Um, East Coast, West Coast, online. They're hard to keep in stock, and Fluval just, I don't know, they got some logistics that need to work on with that. But I typically sell, and I also use Aquatop heaters. They're fairly inexpensive, and I haven't had any issues with them. And speaking of heaters, one of the biggest things you need to worry about with any heater is when you do water changes, make sure your heater stays submerged in the water. The biggest failure is a heater getting, even if it's just a little bit out of water, that glass gets really hot when it's not submerged. And when you go add the water back in, any glass, whether it's a heater or even your car windows, I'm a mechanic by trade, and so I have experience with this. Any glass that gets a sudden shock in temperature will crack, break, or shatter. And before I even was a mechanic, I actually used to sell auto glass, mainly windshields, but any glass, and all over the country. And it's amazing. I know I'm off topic here, guys, but we had a customer that called. They were at the beach, and they had their towel, and it was wet. I think they used like the beach shower, and they went to throw the towel across the windshield to spread it out to dry the towel out. Well, just that water hitting that hot glass, it cracked their windshield. And so you just got to watch out for that. That's kind of a little tip is keep your heater submerged. It's kind of like one of those things you should just know. But if you don't, just watch it on the water changes. That's the biggest culprit to cracking glass. Now, heaters do fail where they can stay on or off, and there's a way you can kind of help safeguard against it sticking on or off, and that is to run redundant heaters. So let's say you have a 125, and just for ease of talking about this, let's say you need 400 watts of heat for that tank, even though you probably need more. But let's say you need 400 watts. Instead of buying a 400 watt heater, buy two 200 watt heaters. So if one sticks on, the other one can turn off, and that will help regulate your heat. Now, if one dies and doesn't turn on, the other one's not going to be able to heat it properly, but it's going to help keep your temp up enough until you realize there's a problem. So I'm a big fan on big tanks using redundant heaters. And with the discus tank, the 200 gallons, since that needs to be a warmer tank than the garage, eventually it's ambient temp. I heat everything by the room. I don't really use heaters unless I need to get that tank extra hot. This tank does have a heater because I just want to bump it up a little bit above my ambient temp. But the discus 200 tank will have probably 3 or 4 heaters in it in the sump. So if one sticks on, the other ones can turn off. Or if one fails, I still have redundant heat pumping into that tank. So redundancy is a good thing with heaters. You just don't want redundant 400 watt heaters. You want to kind of split the level down, so that way if one sticks on, you're not cooking fish. I'm going to scroll as quickly as I can, guys. I know I'm probably way behind. Von Yenzer with a 614 super chat. For the fish fry, remember, fish are friends, not food. That is correct. And speaking of fish fry, so you guys know I like trying to make my own products and improve things where I can. The last thing I think I mentioned was I was going to make my own Wonder Shell, which is basically a calcium supplement for tanks. It's good for plants, snails, shrimp, and even fish like live bears. It helps raise your GH in your tank. And I basically, when I was messing around with these root tabs, which have them still sitting here, I was making my own root tabs, which I think last live stream I mentioned I'm probably not selling them because it takes way too long to pack every pill by hand. Well, I did order one of those like real simple loading machines where it's just basically a bunch of holes, the empty pills go in it, and then you put your, in my case, the fertilizer on it, and you can kind of fill them a bit quicker. I'm going to give that a shot and see if it's worth it or not. Because right now, doing them by hand, it's not worth me trying to fill hundreds of these by hand. But anyways, so there was the wonder shell I was going to try to make, and the way I came across that was when I was making these root tabs. I like to add calcium to them to really help build your plants. You know, calcium a lot of times gets absorbed by so much stuff in a fish tank, especially if you have snails, that it lacks. So there is quite a bit of calcium in these root tabs. And then I realized with the texture of it, I feel like I can compress it with my 20-ton press, as long as I have a die, and make my own like wonder shells. So that's something I'm looking into. And then fry food, I do believe I'm out of my house brand 614 fry food, but I have a new supplier. Hopefully, maybe this week. I think it's like late this week, maybe early next week. That will be here, and then I'm going to start testing basically the size of the food I'm getting, and then so I might have a version 2.0 of my fry food. I'm probably going to give a bottle of it to my local rainbow breeder and see how he likes it, get his opinion, because he breeds a lot of rainbow fish, and I think I got it down to where this will be a good rainbow fry food. So that's just some other 614 info. I still have the 614 media pad, so if you're looking for ammonia reducers, nitrate or nitrite reducers, carbon pads, and poly pads. Actually, I might be sold out of the poly pads. I think I'm sold out of the poly pads, but I do have those as well. I'm going to try to scroll through, see if there's any questions. Hopefully my chat doesn't jump, but we'll see. Patty's here. Hello, Patty. I'm waiting for a Mad Camaro to pull up. You must be talking about Big Rich. Oh, and there's Ohio Fish Rescue. What's going on, guys? Patty says that baby still needs mother's milk. The puffer, Bruce, is doing great. He's eating frozen mysis shrimp just fine. And I just put in probably at least 100 ram's horn snails into his tank. And anywhere from babies up to adults, so he has his pick. And that's a really good source of nutrition for him, because my pea puffer, as soon as he moved tanks to that had like almost an endless supply of snails, he like tripled in size. So Bruce is going to be putting on some size here soon. Pam's here. Hi, Pam. Pam is Punchy Paints. Good to see you, Pam. Trying to scroll and read it as I go. Mrs. Melhead Prime for $5. Everyone watch out for those squirrels. She is not kidding. Robert with the $2.99 super chat. First time viewer from OFR. Love y'all. Robert, it's good to have you here. Thanks for joining our live stream tonight. I appreciate it. And we are at 76 live streamers right now. That's awesome. Live viewers, I guess. I vote for a fish shed. Bucky, that was actually an idea I had, was moving my fish tanks out to a big shed. I was looking at a 14-foot by 20-foot, and it's 7-foot tall walls, and it had lofts for extra space. I was going to put my water systems up in the loft and insulate everything. And then I thought it'd be super awesome to have a fish shed, but the reality kind of set in. Luckily, I didn't, I'm an impulse buyer, impulse project doing person, and I'm lucky I didn't pull the trigger on doing that, because I kind of thought about it for a few weeks, and I just realized, if the fish are out there, it's not that I won't know what's going on, because I have camera systems, I have water alert sensors that are tied into my alarm system on the house, so I know if there's a water leak where I know if there's anything going on. The issue is it's going to be one of those things where if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And I feel like if it's out in my yard, I would neglect going out there as much as I do. With my current fish room, it's right off my kitchen, and I actually go through it every single day when I leave the house, when I come back. So I know everything that's going on, and that's why I want to do the garage. I didn't really want to lose my garage because that's where I can work on cars on the side or projects, and I decided I'd rather lose the ability to work on cars in the garage than have the fish out in a separate shed. And one of the issues was power. Luckily, the power pole to my house is right where the shed would go, so I would have to pay and have a power line drop to the shed. I don't know how much that would cost, probably expensive, but it's definitely a feasible option. But I just decided that most likely I would probably be ignoring the fish tanks more than I should be. So that's why they're going in the garage. Plus I could put some big tanks in there, concrete slab versus a wooden floor. It's going to hold the weight better, and I think weight is something that's kind of overlooked with fish tanks. You'd be surprised at how much a 20-gallon or 29-gallon tank weighs once it's full. A 55-gallon tank once you start adding rocks and all that stuff. And just search aquarium weight graph or aquarium weights, and there's a website, I don't know the website off the top of my head, but it lists every single tank that's pretty much made. It's empty weight and it's weight filled with just water. So that's not counting if you put rocks in there or anything else. Yes, rocks do displace water, so you're technically having less volume of water, but rocks are very dense, and I'm sure there's rocks out there that per gallon size probably weigh more. So I feel like with a shed, it'd be too much. But Robert, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Trying to move through here. Denise, welcome to the Fish Hobbyist, which is actually the only membership level I do. I don't do the $10, $20, $50, $5,000 levels. It's $4.99 a month. This is my pitch to you guys. $4.99 a month, no guarantees, but I have done where members have gotten some freebies, mainly Sarah ONIP tabs and stuff like that in the past. And I don't guarantee that I'm going to do a members only live stream once a week or anything like that, but it's just a good way for you guys to help support me and what I love to do. So I appreciate all the members that are out there, and it's $4.99 a month. So think about joining. If you want to do a $5 super chat, just become a member and you might get some extra perks along the way. But I appreciate all you guys, I really do. But Denise, thank you for joining. And I do plan on doing a live stream to members only. The thing is, I don't know how many members I have. I don't know if it's maybe 20 members or 15 members. It's kind of hard to do a live stream to like 15 members when honestly the 15 members might not get the notifications that I'm live. It might be a random time. So I might go live and then there's no one there to talk to, like you guys are, how you're here now. So the members only stuff, I don't know. I want to do live streams in the future. I just got to plan it. So I'll probably do a community post like, hey, members only live stream Sunday at 3 p.m. I might do something like that in the future. So keep your eyes open for any of my community posts. Metalhead said at SC said the current standing drinking word good enough for me. I don't know what the drinking word is. I think it's every 10 words I say, you gotta take a drink. That's a good one, right? So you should probably take a drink, and then like after a few more words, you should probably take a drink, and we'll see how many of you start dropping off like flies here soon. Patty said, oh my god, you guys with the beard comebacks are cracking me up. Oh man, I'm sure you guys are talking about my beard. It's probably a hot mess tonight. Usually, there's white hair in it. So the other day I was like, wow, is that gray hair in my beard? Like, I'm doing pretty good. I'm 30, oh geez, how old am I? 34 years old, and I don't have gray hair yet. I'm pretty excited about that. And the other day, there's this bright white hair. I'm like, oh, I got my first gray hair, and it's in my beard. Well, it turns out it's Charlotte's hair. So Charlotte's hair sticks to everything. And I think for as long as I own a dog, I'll never have cloth interior seats. My truck's got leather because it always ends up covered in dog hair, but with leather, it's easy to vacuum it off. One of my previous cars had like a really nice cloth, like I don't want to say racing seats because it wasn't a race car or anything, but it had really nice like suede inserts, very sporty seats. Well, dog hair stuck to it so bad that you basically had to use a lint roller to get it off, and I'm not trying to ever do that again. So um, Charlotte sheds like crazy. Havana does not shed hardly at all. Um, like not even seasonally. She might a little bit here and there, but not much. Charlotte will shed like 4 times a year, where it hits her like season change. And with Ohio, a season change could be from 8 a.m. till like 6 p.m. You might wake up in Ohio and it's 80 degrees at 6 a.m. and then at 9 p.m. it's like 20 degrees. The weather changes are harsh. And but Charlotte sheds like crazy. It's not husky bad, but that white hair, like you see it on everything. I'm sure there's white hair on my shirt, and but yeah, I saw some Charlotte hair in my beard, and it didn't freak me out, but I was like, oh man, I'm gonna start looking like Father Fish here soon. I think I'm catching up, guys. I think I am. I think I can. Aquarium Cop with a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you so much, Aquarium Cop. And I've seen you around for a long time now, and every time I glance and I see your name, for some reason, I always read Aquarium Co-op. It's a little slick name you got there, but I appreciate the super chat. IHSP says, at SC Aquatics, email incoming from me as soon as my tax return gets here. Much love from me. Meds kicking in. I'm going to get off here before I get too loopy. IHSP, well, I hope you feel better. And as always, I'll respond to your emails when I can. And with your tax return, my tax return, hopefully we do some big things here shortly. But that's another thing is tax return. That's going to be like a wholesale order from multiple companies for me. So some certain fish foods I need to get back in stock, and lighting. So I will be bringing some of the Flu Vault lights back in. Those sell fairly well. The Flu Vault 3.0 is an awesome light. They're just so expensive. They don't move like candy out of the candy store, but they're a really good light. So I need to get those back in, and also some Stingrays. And if you guys know or don't know, I will be doing like a group order on Stingray, which are Phoenix lights, here shortly. Just because I'm trying to make a massive order, and there's a lot of people that want new lights. So we're going to try to group everybody together and just get one big order into Phoenix. And also I need to get their hang-on backs, because their nano hang-on backs are really awesome, and I'm sold out of those as well. Lots of stuff I need to buy. Oh, Josh Price is here. What is going on? Josh is turning like 38 tomorrow, guys. So wish him a happy birthday. No, he's not. He's turning 26, I believe. And if you guys were in the OFR, which most of you were, that wall tank, Josh and I have been talking for a few weeks now about setting that up as a shrimp tank. And I think what I'm going to do is basically just take over and do it for him. I'm going to bring him plants, substrate, an air pump to run some nano sponges. I don't have them out here, but I have some nano sponge filters, which will be perfect in that tank to help keep it filtered. And also shrimp love sponge filters. And the Blue Dreams look awesome, so we're going to set that up as a Blue Dream tank. And Rich mentioned that he wanted, or not wanted, but was talking about how they have all the different colors with reds, yellows, blues, and then the Rillies, which are basically, the easiest way to describe them is striped shrimp. Basically, the middle of the bodies are clear than your colors at the head and tail. The problem is with that is it looks great for the first couple months, and then the reds and blues start breeding, and then you might get some chocolates out of them, or even get to a black line. But especially with, at least in my experience with the yellows, those will revert fairly quickly backwards. You'll start losing that yellow color, and you'll start going back to red cherries and or wild type. And a wild type is basically like a clear or brown Neocaridina shrimp. But I think we'll do blue because they look really good. Or we could do red. I mean, red, if I do it like a black or dark substrate, reds will really pop on that. So maybe we'll do red. It'll match Big Rich's Camaro. So I guess we'll have to iron that out if it's blues or reds. But we'll get it set up. It'll look awesome well, not under, but above that saltwater tank too. Let's see here. I think I'm getting close to the bottom. Von Yenzer says, at SC, I vote for squirrel. It makes the drinking word so much easier. Well, anytime I say squirrel, no matter what week it is, you guys should be drinking, because it's like, crap, here he goes. Let me drink to keep up with him. But IHSP with the 614 super chat, thank you so much. I do appreciate everything you do for me. And I want to thank all my mods that are here. Chevy Fish, IHSP, Zen Ginger, Punchy's here. So I want to thank all my mods. You guys help me out so much. I appreciate all of you guys. Chat jump, I think I'm almost at the bottom. Yes, I made it to the bottom, guys. Alright, so back to the garage. A shed needs to be built or bought, set up, stuff out. I'm going to start with the exterior wall of the garage. That's it's got like pegboard, and that's how I know the garage is not insulated. You can see through the pegs and there's no insulation. That would be the easiest wall to take down because the pegboard is just screwed in. Just basically have to unscrew it, trash it. And then I need to remove the existing electrical wiring that's in the garage. And the reason why I gotta do that is the garage wiring, which is all the outlets in the garage, and the fish room, and the wall in my dining room that shares the fish room are all on one circuit. And that sucks because like the fish room's got a heater, all the lights, the water pumps, the air pumps, it all runs fine. But if I go out in the garage and try to do a project with like a saw, it kicks the breaker. So I'm really maxing out that circuit. And so what I'm going to do is I already have a whole new outlet, or well, circuit breaker box out in the garage. I ran that wiring brand new to the garage when I first moved in because I had planned on buying a big air compressor to work on cars. Never did. But there is a sub panel out there. It's 60 amps if I remember correctly, which would be plenty to run everything I need to run in there as a fish room. And I'm going to run all new wiring with all GFIC, ground fault interrupter circuit, or circuit interrupters. You guys know what I mean, GFCI. I think that's it. GFCI outlets, and add a lot more outlets because there's only 2 sets of outlets in that whole garage, so it wouldn't be enough to begin with. So I want to get that done. I did already run new wiring to the ceiling because I put new shop lights in there like a few years ago to work on cars. So I put outlets in the ceiling. That's new, but I want to add more, so it'll be real easy for me to add additional lighting to the ceiling. I got these, actually they're pretty cool. They're like 8-foot long LED strip lights. They're basically like 2 flat rows of strip lights angled in a V. They're very thin. They're only about that wide, and they do a really good job at lighting the garage. And I think I only bought like 2 because they were kind of expensive at the time. I think I bought 2 of them to test them out, and they did really well. And what's cool about them is, A, they take up a really small space. You know, they're long, but they're very skinny. But you can link them together, and they link like by touching. You can actually link them with like wiring, but I like that they can actually connect to each other, so it looks like one solid light, fixture through the garage. So that'll be next. I do have a vent in the garage that I put through the wall because in the summer when I was working on cars, I put AC in the garage. I have a mobile AC unit that's good for like 400 square feet or something like that. Well, it needs an exhaust vent, so I put a vent in the wall that I think it's 8 inches. I'm going to use that on a humidistat, I think, and that way, if for whatever reason the humidity gets high in the garage, a fan will kick on and vent the humidity out of the garage. Also, I have dehumidifier, but there'll be just one extra kind of redundant thing, like if for some reason the humidifier turns off during the day and I don't know it, that fan can kick on and get some fresh air going through the garage. So I'm going to start with the exterior wall, get the new wiring going, and then insulate it and drywall it. After I drywall it, I may line the walls with the plastic sheeting that you see like in car washes and in like kitchens, like that are commercial, like at restaurants. I might line it with plastic that waterproofs the wall, so you don't have to worry about like mold. If you splash something, if you get something dirty, you can just wash it. But I don't know if I want to drywall it and then basically buy a whole new wall system to go on top of it. That might be like something down the road, but I know I am going to drywall it because what I found out, I was originally just going to insulate the wall and to put these plastic panels up, but they're actually designed to be glued onto drywall. They're not designed to be a self-supporting, basically like wall panel. So I got to drywall it no matter what. Drywall will also help with insulation, noise, stuff like that. So it's going to get drywalled. So that's the plan, and really that's all going to be it's going to be based off of my tax return. So as soon as tax return gets here, which I don't think like the IRS is accepting tax returns yet. We'll see. We'll see when that is. Hopefully, it's like end of month or early next month. Then I can go. I already have a shopping cart ready to buy everything I need, and then it's going to start tearing stuff down. Get back in the chat, see if there's anything new. Show you fish. Link the website 614fish.com. I'm sold out of a lot of stuff, but hopefully that will change here shortly. Texas Fish Room, good to see you. Where am I at? Squirrel, Mrs. Metalhead. Of course, there's always a squirrel, so you guys should be drinking right now. I'll take a drink to that. As far as anything else going on around here, I really don't have anything else. It's been crazy. I just got those albinos today, the iridescent sharks for Clinton. I also got 30 green corridors because I think I was running out. I might have had like a handful left and somebody wanted 30, so I got 30 of them for them. And I think corridoras are super awesome. Josh Price said ground fault circuit interrupter. I always get the C and the I confused, like ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI. I don't know why I struggle with that, but and I like wiring, so that would be a fun project once I rip down all that crappy walling that the previous owner did. But so let's see here. I've seen it. It's a mess. If you're talking about the garage, that's a true statement. Bonnie Answer says, at Patty, treat it right, but unlike the like button, which should be smashed, it should be treated right. Maybe smash, maybe caress. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. The chat is squirreling right now, I think. Aquarium Cost said, did you get the COVID money, whatever anyone made? So I got paid to stay home. It was like a week and a half. That was a government reimbursement when I got the Rona a few weeks ago. Um, so I got that money, but nothing else. Um, as far as the stimulus check, I actually just got the second one. When was that? It was either like Friday or like sometime this week. It might have been this week. So everybody that got like their stimulus check like forever ago, I just got mine this week. Von User said at SC totally squirreling. Yeah, I don't know. I see Matt saying some things and some other people saying some things. Makes me question if I need to change this channel rating to maybe rated R or worse. But Plecos. How are the surprise baby? Oh, Brooke Holly says, how are the... I was confused. So the other topics that were being chatted about, and Brooke says, how's the surprise baby pelvis doing? I'm like, I don't know where that's going, but she meant Plecos. So there was only one baby Pleco, and I actually haven't seen that baby in a while, but he is tiny, so I don't know where he's hiding. I randomly see him pop out from somewhere, but Matt F says, I apologize, but I blame Patty. I'm pretty sure if there's anything dirty going down, Patty's involved somehow. But no. So, yeah, hopefully the baby Pleco's doing good. I've been checking. I haven't checked actually in a few days, but I've been trying to check to see if I see any eggs anywhere. I haven't, so hopefully they'll get back on their game here soon. I really need to move the rainbows out because every time I try to feed frozen mysis shrimp for these plecos, the rainbows are like little garbage disposals and they suck everything up before it hits the bottom. So, the plecos are eating the granules just fine, but I'm trying to get them back onto frozen to really help stimulate their breeding, and the rainbows are just eating everything. So Aquarium Cop said 1,200, 600. I was only 600 each time. Out of the two stimulus checks, I got 600. Aquarium Cop says YouTube taxes are insane. Yeah, so YouTube takes quite a big percent of everything I make. Yeah. Sam Signature Series says, SE, do you switch temps in your tanks at all? So I don't do triggering on this tank with temperature changes. This tank is running, I don't want to say extra hot because it's not like it's stupid hot. It's 84 degrees where all my other tanks in the house, unless they're cold water tanks like the axolotl tanks and the Barbados quarries, those are room temperature, which are probably sitting somewhere in like the 69 degrees area. But the fish room typically is around 74 degrees. This one's 84 because the previous owner, which is a master fish breeder from our local fish club, he had him at 84, and that was what was spawning him. And his trigger on these were mysis shrimp. Feeding them mysis shrimp, he said that was their trigger. So that's why I got to probably get these rainbows back to my breeder. And I still want fishing. I really want to probably move the glow light tetras. They're small, they're peaceful. I have a whole 29-gallon tank full of them out there. I probably want to move those guys over to this tank so that way there's still movement and stuff to look at. But these rainbows I think are just kind of counterproductive for what I'm trying to do. Scrolling. Ohio Fish Rescue says, Aquarium Cop, I agree. My first time paying taxes on the YouTube. Wow, they collect more than their fair share. I forget the exact numbers, but I don't know if it's like 50% of whatever you make as far as like membership. I don't know, memberships might be a little bit different, but memberships, super chats, like YouTube takes a lot of it. So that's why you always see people trying to grow their views. So the views help with ads. I know you guys probably hate watching ads, but that's how, we get funded to try to make more content and stuff like that and keep pushing forward. I skip ads, but a lot of times what I do is I'll play a channel. So for instance, earlier tonight, if you guys noticed, I was a little late to the OFR live stream to talk to you guys, but I start playing. When I got home from work, I played the latest OFR video, and then I just let their channel run. And that's when I do like water changes, feed fish, do laundry, do website work, whatever. And I just let my family room. I use my like Xbox to play YouTube. I just let their channel play because that will run the ads without me skipping them. I don't know. I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming the ads when you watch them, you get paid whatever per ad. Let's say it's a penny, and if you skip it, you get a penny. But if you watch the whole ad, maybe you get 2 pennies. I'm assuming if you watch a full ad, the YouTuber probably would get paid more. I don't know that for a fact, so I just let the ads play, and so whatever video I watch or I select when I get home. So tonight was OFR, so their videos were playing, the ads were rolling. So maybe the other night was Aquarium Co-op. I probably had the Aquarium Co-op channel playing for 4 hours, and eventually my Xbox is like, "Are you still here?" Hit yes. But I just let it run, and it's probably videos I've seen 100 times, but that's what I do because I'm that person. I like to hear stuff while I do things. Like when I go to bed, I don't like black out my room and go to sleep. I turn the TV on and I play Hulu and I watch like the same TV show over and over for a year, but it'll play like one episode. I probably listen to it for like 2 minutes and I fall asleep. But that's how I am. I like having like that white noise, if you want to call it. That's not white noise, it's noise. But I do the same thing with YouTube. I let somebody's fish channel play and I do things around the house. But that's, yeah. Brooke Holly says SC uses eggshells. I'm assuming somebody's talking about calcium. I do use calcium powder, which is chicken eggshells. I just take chicken eggshells and I clean them, and I grind them up into a powder, and then I put them in the tanks that I think need calcium, which are basically any tank with shrimp or snails, and I've been adding it to all the live bearer tanks. And I had somebody I don't know if they commented during a live stream or if it was on the video itself, about cleaning the eggshells with the Dawn dish soap and how that's a terrible idea, that the dish soap is a detergent and the eggshells are porous and it'll absorb into the eggshells, and I'm putting that into my fish tank, and that's what's causing my shells on my snails to deteriorate. Let me stop you right there. Like, I didn't know how to really type everything in response to them, but I'm going to just address that right now. The shells deteriorating are not from the eggshells because they deteriorated prior to me adding eggshells. The shells deteriorating could be acidic water or a lack of calcium. Maybe there's other things that can contribute to it, but in my water, it's a lack of calcium. When I added calcium via the eggshells, I stopped having the deterioration. Now the shells still look like crap, but they stop getting worse, and then baby ones don't have that issue at all. I've been using eggshells for like 2 years now, and I've always used Dawn dish soap on them. I rinse them off. Maybe some absorbs into the shell, I don't know. I personally, my opinion, I doubt it, but maybe it's possible. But the fact is, never had an issue. I've used it on shrimp, which shrimp can be very finicky to something like that, like some sort of chemical or detergent. Shrimp, I would see issues with my shrimp tanks. Never had issues with any tank with any fish ever from doing that. And I know there's a lot of people that just grind up eggshells and they put it in without cleaning them, and they have no issues either. The whole reason I thought behind the process, and this was like 2 years ago when I started doing the eggshell thing of using the Dawn dish soap, is I thought, would you take an empty shell from cracking eggs that still has, some egg white in it, and would you put it in your mouth and eat it? And the answer for me is no, because like that's how you probably get sick. And I'm like, well, do I want to put that in my fish tank? I'm like, all right, so if I had an eggshell and I cleaned it with Dawn dish soap and then it was clean, like rinse clean, would I put the eggshell in my mouth then? Sure, like I don't know why, but I wouldn't be afraid to. So that's how I looked at it, and that's why I started doing it that way. And I never had an issue, so I just want to kind of address that in case anybody else had that like thought process as well as that person, because just because they said it, there might be somebody else that thinks that and they don't want to say something. But the fact is, I've been doing it for 2 years and never had an issue. And the whole snail shell deteriorating, that's just the water's not hard enough and it's just lacking calcium. So that's how I'm getting around that. And the other thing, instead of using eggshell, you can use wonder shells. So wonder shell is calcium, and that's where I want to, the root tabs I'm making, that's calcium with fertilizer. So I want to make my own wonder shells just because I like building things, and I think it'd be cool. I need to figure out a mold though. So I was going to 3D print one. I do 3D prints, and I'm actually. Oh, let me pull this up for you guys. This is some insider info for you. I'll drop you guys some crazy things coming up. And then you log into the website. I'm going to have to turn the phone. You're going to look at a computer screen. It's probably going to look like complete crap because you know how like you try to take a picture of a computer screen, you can see all the lines. Let me flip you guys around here. Get ready. It's going to be a quick one. Be ready for that insider info. Insider info like by GME. Oh, guys. There's a little insider info. Nothing serious yet. Just we're in the works. Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a project. If we go through with it, it's literally talking about it. So I built stands for Ohio Fish Rescue before, and Josh had asked me to price out a stand for their 3,000 gallon tank. So with that, Matt said, what did we just see there? That's a CAD program. That's a CAD design of a steel stand for Ohio Fish Rescue's 3,000 gallon. That's the Paku tank, the one that's sitting on the floor in the fish room. To calculate out water weight and like weight of the tank and any extras, the tank stand needs to hold, I think I was going to design it to hold 30,000 pounds. Think about that. So a gallon of water is like 8.4 pounds. So water weight alone is just over 25,000 pounds. I have a full-size pickup truck, 4-door, 4-wheel drive. It probably weighs like 7,000 pounds in there, 7,000-ish. So think about that. That stand needs to hold like 4 pickup trucks on a stand. It's a lot of weight. And the thing is, it's a plywood build. It's a wooden tank, so it needs, in my opinion, quite a bit of bracing underneath of the wood to help kind of spread it out, kind of like an acrylic tank. So acrylic tanks need a full a full support underneath. That's why acrylic tank stands are plywood, and then usually people would do like a foam mat to help take up irregularities. Glass tanks are supported by the rim, that black plastic. The weight's on that rim, and it's spread out to the corners. So you can actually have, and this is how the Aquarium Co-op has their tanks, you could actually support the tanks from the ends, so you can set your tanks on 2x4s and the middle be open. So next time you watch an Aquarium Co-op video, when they're in their store, look at their tanks. They're only supported on the ends. You can't do that with acrylic. Right now, this is just like version 1.0 on my CAD drawing, so it's like when I think of how the stand needs to be, it's the first thing that pops in my head. Then I go in there and I tweak it. So I put steel across it at every 16 inches on center. So think of like framing of a house. Well, that can actually probably be spread out a little bit more, And the reason you do that is you want to make sure it's really strong and everything is supported correctly, but you don't want to overdo it because A, you're adding cost to the stand, And this is 1/4 inch thick steel. So smaller tanks, the original stands I built for OFR for their 700, the 500, and the 1,000 gallon, that's 1/4 inch steel. And after doing them, like, the 500 didn't really need 1/4 inch steel, 1/8 inch steel would have been fine. The 700, probably same thing. The 1,000, I feel better with it being 1/4 inch. But with 30,000 pounds designed, to hold that much weight, 1/4 inch for sure. And I have no doubt that I can make something that would hold that, and I could put my name on it and be like, this stand's not going to fail, because in the design of the stand, it's really hard for it to fail the way it's layered. The steel's layered. Weight pushes down on the legs, so the legs, you don't have to worry about a weld breaking and then like a leg snapping out. The way I design it is, I don't want to say it's fail proof, because as soon as I say it's fail proof, something crazy would happen. But now it's like, all right, I over designed it. Now I need to scale it down and fine tune it to where we're not wasting resources on the steel. The steel is expensive. 1/4 inch, it's all American made steel. It's not steel that's imported. This is all steel from here in the USA. It's very, very expensive. And then time, somebody said all that welding. It takes a lot of time welding, and especially with a tank stand that big, it's 15 feet long. And then on top of that, the logistics of getting it. Luckily, Ohio Fish Rescue has a forklift, so unloading it's not the problem, but getting it there, it's going to require a trailer, because my bed of my truck's like just over 6 feet long. With the tailgate down, let's say it's 8 feet. Well, still half of the stand would be out the back. It's not going to work. So I'd have to get a trailer, or get a big box truck like a U-Haul or something like that. Maybe U-Haul would be cheaper when you can like rent them for a day or something like that. But I gotta fine tune the design, and then with like SolidWorks and some of the higher end CAD programs, you can do stress testing of your design to see how the steel reacts with weight on it. That's just more fine tuning, and yeah. But I'm just letting you guys know OFR wants to get that tank off the floor, so that might be a future project on this channel and on the OFR channel. We'll see how this turns out. Sam said YouTube takes 30% of the super chat. Brooke said, does OFR still have a scoop of rainbows in the pool? The last time I was there, I don't know for sure, but I did not see the rainbows. And to be honest, with the peacock bass in there, I would assume that the rainbows became dinner. If you guys don't know about the rainbows in the monster pond, a long time ago, Lucas Bretz brought in plants from his fish room to the monster pond. And on those plants were rainbow eggs. Nobody knew about it. The rainbow eggs hatched in the monster pond, and they grew to like full-size rainbow fish in like 2 months or something crazy. Like, they grew extremely fast in that monster pond, and that was, even Lucas commented, they grew like twice or 4 times faster than he grows them, and it's all due to that massive pond. Fish grow quicker in a bigger enclosure. And that's for sure. Like, even here, like the fish I have in my fry rack aren't growing nearly as quick as they would like in a 55 or a 75. Anyways, there was like a group of maybe 5 rainbow fish. Lucas did try to catch them out to see what rainbow fish they were. He wasn't sure, what collection point or species of rainbows they were, because they were always out in the middle and moving around quick. But last time I was there, I did not see them, so I'm assuming they became fish food. Let me see where I'm at on this. Texas Fish Room, yes, lots of welding. Sam said welding for days, yeah. Von Yenzer says, how the heck does someone lift a tank of that size? Without the water, yeah. So I'm sure Josh probably knows a guesstimate of how much that stand weighs. Um, but I'm not sure how much the stand weighs. That's why I overestimate the weight at 30,000 pounds when maybe it's only 26,000 pounds. Matt said, OFR amazes me at their skill of tank moving. You know, when there's a will, there's a way, and the Bellagio tanks were, that was the battle of the will for sure, because they somehow always overcome the obstacle as far as moving the tanks. Those tanks were extremely heavy and they were extremely big. They're 20 feet long. And even with the 20 people there helping move them, it was really hard to move those tanks. Not only moving them into the fish room, but then we had to get them up on the stand. And then after they're on the stand, you have to adjust them to get them, square on the stand. And just the ingenuity of like maybe ingenuity is not the right word. The ragneckness that Big Rich and Josh come up with getting the 2x4s or the 4x4s stacked on stacked, and then using a car jack to get it up 2 more inches to get another 2x4 under there. One end of that Bellagio tank was just held up with a bunch of 2x4s stacked on each other, which looked super sketchy, but it worked. And then, the first tank was definitely the hardest. The second tank, we got in half the time. I don't know if it took us like 4 hours to get the first tank in and up, but we literally got the second tank in. It was like once you read the instructions and you built the first thing, the second one goes way quicker, right? And that's how that second tank went. But it was a fun but a lot of work, but fun experience. And this year, I'm just excited to see, they mentioned about doing landscaping. That koi pond with landscaping, especially with the river stream that they got going on, that koi pond came together fairly quickly. And, unfortunately, it was at the end of the season. And it takes, I would say, a good year of landscaping, getting the landscape done, letting it sit for a year, and then the following years where you really notice the improvement. And then with anything landscape related, every year it gets better and better as long as you're maintaining it. But I can't wait to see the koi pond, this summer, this fall, and then even next year. 2022 is going to be amazing for that pond. John said, I will be starting my first planet tank really soon. I have most of the parts. I used to do reef tanks. John, if you used to do reef tanks, planet tanks are no problem for you, buddy. They're easy. As long as you don't get too crazy about trying to get water parameters and fertilizers correct. Self plug when I have it available, I guess that is 614 fertilizer. You spray it in, takes care of most of your needs. You can always add extra, depending on your plants, extra iron if you got a bunch of red style plants or red color plants. But yeah, it's all about lighting, really. A really, really cheap light will suffer your plants. And here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. We're going to go for a little walk here. Let's take a walk. Squirrel? But no, I can... Oh, I think the dogs want something. They're both standing here. So I'm going to show you Christmas moss. Because plants are awesome. They want to go outside. Let me let the dogs out. Oh! I just shut Vanna's butt in the door. Whoops! She didn't bark or yelp. Alright, let me find... Alright, here we go. Flipping you around. I'm going to get you on the glass so there's less reflection. I'm sure it's noisy in here. Here's a ball of Christmas moss. This is the Celestial Danios, aka CPDs. You can see them in the back. That's Christmas moss. It's just kind of a ball. I got it in that tank. It's in this tank. It's very stringy, right? It's in the Vienna tank. Oh, sorry, glare. See, that's real stringy and leggy. It grows like gangbusters for me out here, right? Here you go. Oh, I know the reflection sucks, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get an angle where you don't see reflection. But it grows very bushy. Or leggy, however you want to call it. I keep it in all my tanks. These are rainbow fry from Oddball Aquatics. But yeah. Oh, here's a good view of it. Here it is in a breeder box. There's gonna be duckweed on top, I'm sure. Yeah, duckweed. You can actually see it growing out. Oh, what just happened? Something just happened with my Wi-Fi. Hopefully I'm still live. You see it kind of growing out of the water right here, which is kind of cool in itself. This is a shrimp tank. Alright, you get the idea. You get the idea. Now let me go show you what happens when you put it under extreme light. And by extreme light, this is actually a coral light. This is a saltwater tank that it used to have. It's now freshwater. I want to show you the difference. You know how it was, you know how it was all leggy and stringy? Sorry, there's some algae on the glass. Look at it in this tank. It looks like trees. It looks like the top of a tree. It stays really tight and compact. And then it kind of grows over on itself and down. I need to get a scraper on this tank and clean it, but man, I really love it under this, I call it extreme highlight, but man, it looks awesome. I'll flip you around on the other side because that's a peninsula tank, so it's three-sided, and it's on my peninsula island. Well, this side is worse because the algae. And I just fed this tank right before I went live, so there's food all over it. This is the Cory tank. So these guys actually get fed once a day. All this food up here will be gone here as soon as the light turns out, which is in 20 minutes. But I'm trying to get a view of the moss. But anyways, that's the same moss. I just pulled it out of the fish room. Completely different, and plants are the same way. Jungle Val. Jungle Val can get very tall. Come on, girls. Where's the other one? I think she's coming. Savannah. Yeah, she's coming. Sorry, guys. Had dog things. Dog duties. So, yeah. I don't know where I'm at. Squirrel. 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 Yeah. Plants. Lights. Makes a difference. If you got the money, I recommend getting a Fluval 3.0, whether it's size for your tank or a nano. But what that allows you to do, putting you back in the tripod, hang on. It allows you to have highlight if you need it, and if it's too much light, you can dial it back with the app. The app's very easy to use. It does a timer, sunrise, it gets brighter, 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 and then it tapers off. I really like the Fluval 3.0s. It's a great light. They're expensive, but it's a really good light. Let me see. Chevy Fish says Cuttlebone works great. Actually, Cuttlebone was when I first got my shrimp tanks. That's the first thing I bought. It just didn't like dissolve out or anything, so I wasn't sure if it was working or helping. So that's when I actually went to the eggshell, and it's worked great. So that's the way I go. And then I saw somebody say something about duckweed. Yeah, there's a couple tanks that have a crazy amount of duckweed, and what's weird, and I want to do some testing on this. The duckweed in my 25 Fluval, which is the mixed guppy tank in my family room, it's all completely gone by itself. And the only difference is I've been hitting it with a lot of calcium, and I can't remember if I hit it with fertilizer. But I know I hit that tank with a lot of calcium, so I'm not sure. I'm thinking duckweed might not like hard water, but that's something I gotta figure out. duckweed's good in some situations with pulling nitrates out of the water. The axolotl tank is completely covered with duckweed, and I leave it. I mean, I'll take scoops out when it gets like starts stacking on each other. But with axolotls, you know, they can be messy, so I keep duckweed in that tank on purpose because the duckweed is removing nitrates. It grows so quick. It needs those nitrates to reproduce. And now the dogs are here in my lap. Ofar said wood. Oh, geez, what is going on? You guys are so bad. Who knows? John said, as the Aquatics, taking notes will be getting the livestock as soon as all these supplies come in. Thanks for the advice. No problem. I scrolled and completely forget what I even said. Seashells. They come from the seashore. If you're talking about grinding down seashells, that would be also, I guess, a source of calcium. John said, I ordered a Phoenix Ray 2. I've never used a Stingray 2. And the main reason from that is, you know, on paper it sounds awesome. Like, you know, they're talking about how much brighter it is. The reason I haven't used it was basically because of Aquarium Co-op. You know, Corey said that he didn't think it was that much better of a deal. I think there were some other things with like the warranty on it or the issues. Maybe it was the issues. They were having issues with the Stingray 2s, or the Stingray 1s, the originals, which is this one. Has been really, I don't want to say bulletproof, but the failure rate is so low that there's not too much issue. I just saw Ohio Fish Rescue said there's still 2 rainbows in there. I honestly can't believe there's still rainbows in the monster pond with the bass in there. It's cool. I just saw something. Von Yunzer says, how does Christmas moss do in an unheated tank? I have it in the Barbados tank. It's unheated. It does fine. The only time I've had Christmas moss not do fine is with no light. With no light, it will eventually die off. But it grows, and it's under... I'll show you guys. Let's go walk, and I'll show you the Barbados tank. The light on it is low light. It's one of those, like... Aquarium came with the tank type deals. I'll flip you around. So it's just like a clip-on light. If you see, it's only half of it because this half of the light is like the night mode and this half is the light. This tank's very, very low light. It's not heated, so unheated tank. And there's a Barbados Cory right there. But you can see it's growing. It's, you know, spreading out through the tank, but it's not super thick, but it works. Now, if this light was a Fluval like nano light, this would be growing way better. But it works on heated tanks. No issues. The Christmas moss has been like my go-to. Pretty much can't kill it unless you don't give it any light. Yeah. Put you guys back on the holder. And I think I saw, yes, Rescue Dog Tree says, do you sell the Christmas moss? Yes, I do sell it. There's companies that will sell you what they call a golf ball size portion. Is this straight? I originally bought that as a mat. It came on like a 3-inch by 3-inch mat, and then, you know, not very much, and now I have pounds of it. I sell it by like a handful. So I reach into a tank, I grab a handful, and that's what I put in a bag. when you get the bag, I heat seal it in a bag. The pouch is probably about that big, but it's packed in there pretty good. You can basically just rip it apart and super glue it to wood, to rocks. You can tuck it into cracks on decorations. On my tanks, I take a handful and I toss it into the tank and I just let it sit there, and eventually it just grows into like a bush. 55 with a shop light on it, it became like one of those like evergreen style bushes that would be like in like your front yard against the house, like hedges. It just kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger. It's been a wonder plant for me, and it's like the easiest thing in my opinion. It grows, at least for me in my water. There's plants that I still say that Java fern is supposed to be the easiest beginner plant ever. It doesn't do that great for me. Like, I don't know what my issue is with Java ferns, but they grow kinda for me. But yeah, I even took a big bag of the Christmas moss to OFR for them to put. I think Josh was going to put it like in their stream to help pull nitrates out, because the stream's low light. They have the skylights, but there's no actual plant grow lights on the stream. So I said, take some of this Christmas moss, give it a try. As long as it gets sunlight, it should grow. And that was like New Year's Eve, when I was up there. Let me see. Shelly Fish says, at Von User, I have some of the moss he sells in my cooler tanks, and it's fine even in ambient light. So there you go. The ambient light, it does fine. It's just no light. Like if you got, what tank? I'm trying to think what tank I had that in that I realized. Okay, so I think the tank they see with the coral white, now where it's like super dense, that tank, the reason it's under a coral light is that I took the Stingray clip light that I had on it, I took it off, and then that tank had no light, and technically it had ambient light from the house, but my blinds are always shut because the dogs go crazy when they see stuff. So the house really doesn't get direct sunlight onto that tank. That's when it did not do well. Matt F says, even the monster pond knows fish are friends, not food. Maybe they do. Willie Baker, it's a Snap-on toolbox tank from my Snap-on dealer. That sounds awesome. I didn't see the comment where you started talking about that, but I wanted to look that up and talk to my Snap-on guy to see what's up with the Snap-on toolbox tank. Matt said, I have a 10-gallon kit and the lights are bad. I need to upgrade the lights, but can't figure out a good lid. Okay, so for a 10-gallon, you have, in my opinion, two good options. You can buy a glass lid. They sell them probably anywhere, like on Amazon, eBay, stores. Glass lids are nice because they're easy to clean. You can take a razor blade to them, a sponge, whatever. Now, if you had more than one tank, what I would do is the double wall, it's called twin wall, plastic panels. Let's go look at them. But I'd buy them in sheets of 4 foot by 8 foot, because then you can get a crap ton of lids out of them. But that would not be cost effective for one tank. I'm going to flip you guys around. So that's a lid. That's a lid. You can see lids up here. All right. And it's greenhouse paneling. It's used on like the sides of greenhouses or the roofs, but it's called twin wall. And it's just plastic. I cut it, I think with scissors, to be honest. But that's what I use. And these are 10-gallon tanks up here. So that's how I do it. Because it's just cheap when you gotta do a bunch of tanks. But these are 10 gallons up here. These are 20s, 20 longs. But I think the easiest and probably the least expensive route for you would be to just get a glass one, and then you can run any light you want above it. You can run a Fluval Stingray, a Night Crew light, did I say Fluval Stingray? Fennec Stingray, Fluval Aqua Sky, or Fluval 3.0. I've used Night Crew lights. Those are like, quote, cheap ones on eBay, and they're actually really good. I use the Night Crew, I think it's called like Plus version. It's supposed to be like a little bit more powerful. They do really well. Haven't had one go bad. I do have Aquaneat, but the Aquaneat definitely was not as powerful as the Night Crew. Let me see. Okay, my plants are getting a brown covering. It washes off but keeps coming back. How can I stop this from happening? Thanks, love the channel. I'm guessing that's brown algae, and the best way is to get something that would eat it, so that way it keeps up with it. Typically algae in general, which I get algae on pretty much every tank, it's just less noticeable because I have something that's eating it. This tank's getting some algae, mainly right here in the middle of the tank. You probably can't see it on video. Right where my hand's at is getting green spot. It's not over here, not up here, just right here. Tommy Boy reference. That's because that's like the main focal point of the light. It's from like extra nutrients. Your plants aren't out competing it. Amazon swords are heavy root feeders. That's why I started adding some other plants in here for water column feeding. But you can make sure the water is good, which you've been around on the channel for a long time now. I'm sure your water's fine. So what I do is I like snails, and a lot of people hate snails. I'm not a big fan of pest snails at all. They do okay, but I feel like for algae eating and just for aesthetics, ram's horns are my go-to. I think they look nice. They're not like ugly. They kind of look cool, especially when you get the pink ones. And they eat the algae way better than pollen snails or bladder snails, pest snails. But ram's horns are the route I would go, and they will help clean your plants. Even with, this is mainly a pleco tank. There's like 20 plecos in this tank. They're not taking care of that green spot algae because that's not what they're into. There is Malaysian trumpet snails in here, and they're not really doing much with the algae. Their goal is like, their goal or their duty is turning the substrate over, which they do a great job of that because during the day you don't see them. They don't come out until night. So during the day they're in that sand, moving around. But ram's horns, they're like little machines. The only other snail that I would put against the ram's horn is the nearite. The nearites are beasts. Like you can actually see, like they have like these two little teeth, and they basically do this as they kind of go across the glass. You can see the teeth are like scraping at the algae. They do an awesome job. They're probably the best ones. They just really get after it. And the bonus is they don't reproduce in fresh water. So if you're afraid of having a tank full of snails, you could always get like a handful. Get 5 nearite snails. And in a year from now, you'll still only have 5. They don't reproduce in fresh water. So I would grab some nearites. Would be my recommendation, and they'll get on those plants and they'll help eat the brown algae, and they're just a really good cleanup crew. That's like a saltwater term as a cleanup crew. It's really freshwater too. Snails are awesome. They eat extra food. They eat dying plants. Like people think snails are eating your plants. No, they eat this stuff that's dying, which is, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Charlotte's barking. But yeah, I would go with nearites. Let me see here. Snail discrimination. Yeah, there's people love or hate snails. I love snails. They make my life easier. I rarely ever have to scrape glass, and when I do, it's because there's not ram's horn. So that green koi tank, the one with the highlight, there's algae on the glass because there's only like 2 ram's horns or 3 ram's horns in that tank. I need to add some more, let them establish, get their own little breeding going on, and that tank will be crystal clear. And it's such high light, it really produces algae quite easily. And like, if they didn't have even those 3 ram's horns, that glass would be completely covered. But snails are awesome. What about assassin snails? So I do have assassin snails. I sell them. They're out in the fish room. I don't know how they do as far as algae. So assassin snails assassinate pest snails, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how they do for algae. That tank doesn't really have algae in it, but it's also only getting light from the shop light that's up on the ceiling. There's no actual aquarium light on that row. Um, so it's not getting enough light, I think, to really grow algae. So I can't really comment about assassin snails on algae eating. Assassin snails will reproduce, so if you happen to be afraid of having too many snails, assassin snails reproduce just like all the other snails. Dougie says, at Patty Snail Army rules, neorites for the win. Neorites they're badasses. They are. Neorites are both fresh, both saltwater and fresh. Yes. So if you go to a fish store, you go to the freshwater section, you'll find neorites. If you go to the saltwater, you'll find neorites. A long time ago when I had that saltwater tank, I did take some of my freshwater ones and I put them into the saltwater tank to see what would happen. They didn't like it. So now, knowing what I know, I should have tried to acclimate them. Like, all right, I'm going to get a little 10-gallon quarantine tank and make it like a really low-level salinity, and then turn it into a brackish tank, and then eventually go to full saltwater to see if I can convert them. Because what I wanted to do at the time was, oh, I want more neorites. I'll put some of them in saltwater, and then they'll breed. Neorites their eggs only hatch in saltwater. They don't hatch in freshwater. So that's how they're both saltwater and freshwater. So if they can live in saltwater, they can live in freshwater, then you know that they can live in brackish as well. Brackish is just a mix. I think it'd be cool to start breeding them. It's just, I don't know how long it would take to go from baby neorite to the sellable size. And when you're talking like a couple bucks for a snail, it might not be worth the time and effort of trying to raise and hatch the snails, unless you did it like if you already had a saltwater tank, you were doing it. That'd be cool. Willie says only 5 tanks up at the moment, but have more in storage. It never ends. Once you catch that bug, 5 tanks will never be enough, and then 10 won't be enough, and then you end up like me, and then you're going to convert a garage over to a fish room. But it's going to be fun. Speaking of fish room in the garage, I saw Primetime Aquatics. If you don't follow him, it's a great channel to follow. He's got, I don't know if it's wallpaper or if it's like some sort of board, but he's got like brick. You can tell it's like not house brick. Like they did some sort of wallpaper type stuff. And I really like that look behind his tanks. I was like, man, it looks nice. So I've been thinking about doing some sort of flooring in the garage. The garage is a garage floor. It's concrete. It's got some chips in it. It's got some epoxy from the previous owner, which either way I wanted to grind that up because it looks terrible. He like spilt a can of epoxy onto the floor and never like wiped it up. So there's like hard epoxy puddle in the garage. So I gotta get a grinder and grind that up. So minimum I need to paint the floor, like get garage paint and paint it. My apartment I lived in before I had this house, they painted the floor and it actually held up well with a car. So I know with foot traffic of a fish room, it would hold up fine. yes, I could epoxy the garage floor, um, but I'm afraid of putting money into epoxy floor and then dragging like metal stands across it and accidentally like chipping it. That would make me sad. Where if I get a gallon of paint that's for the garage floor and paint it, and then worst case in a year if it chips up, I can touch it up or repaint. It'd be cheaper that way. But I thought it'd be cool to have like wood flooring, like not real wood, but like laminate flooring. I was like, man, that would look cool to have wood in the fish room, and then get the PVC like waterproof stuff. That's what's in my current fish room. Um, but I don't know. That's money that I don't need to spend, I guess. Squirrel? Squirrel. Oh my gosh, we've been going for an hour and a half on this live stream, guys. Let me scroll, make sure I didn't miss any super chats or super stickers or questions. And we're going to start rolling this towards the end. All right, I don't see any questions or anything I missed or super chats or stuff like that, so I think we're going to call it a night. Okay. Yep, let me scroll. Super long scroll stream. Yes. Mr. Fisher said, missed my question. What was your question? Tag me. Mr. Fisher, just tag at SC Aquatics, and that way I can see what you write. Unless you're lying to me and I'm now scrolling to try to find a question. But right now I'm scrolling. I don't see anything. Still don't see anything. Are you messing with me? Von User says, I always love the information I get from your streams. I try to be educational, but I don't know nearly as much as some other channels do. I just want to go off of my experience. So whether it's fact or fiction, I will give you my experience with something and let you guys know what I think. I should have realized when this light turned off, it's time to shut down for sure. But Mr. Fisher said, no, not messing with you. I totally missed it. I'm trying to scroll. Man, I feel bad that I missed a question. Dogs? Question mark. Is that the question? Dogs? If you're asking, do I have dogs? Or you want to see the dogs? We can go look at the dogs and we'll end on that. I have 2 dogs. I have a Dalmatian rescued. She's deaf. She's 2 years old. And I have a red-nosed pit bull, also rescued. She was a breeder. She's like, oh, the lights even turn off out here. Gotta turn the lights on. Smart switches everywhere. All right, so Havana with a H. I know sometimes it probably sounds like I say Savannah, but it's Havana. I was out here laying on the couch, on the blanket, being all comfy. Are you being shy? You don't want to look at the camera? Oh, she's looking at the corner of her eye. Havana, do you want... She wants a treat. Oh, yeah. Now she's in my lap. And here's Charlotte. Charlotte's deaf. My sister fosters dogs. Not for, like, a living. She does it. She's a school teacher, but she fosters dogs for a rescue group that specializes in, like, special needs dogs, whether they're blind, deaf, have some sort of issue. Well, anyways, 2 years ago, or give or take, she had 2 Dalmatian puppies. A boy and a girl, brother and sister. The brother had an elbow deformity where his elbow joint like grew outwards. So instead of like his front legs going like straight, his elbow was out. Still walks fine, runs fine, just kind of looks like a bulldog, right? And then Charlotte here was deaf. Well, my sister was adopting the brother. And I had thought about getting a little sister or brother for Havana. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect timing. I was kind of wanting a second dog. My sister's adopting the brother. I should adopt the sister. So you get it? Me and my sister adopted the brother and sister. That's, yeah, I hope you got that. Squirrel! So yeah, as far as her being deaf, it wasn't too much of a struggle. The hardest part is getting her attention. So it's like, hey, like when it's time for them, like time for her to come inside, you can't yell her name because she can't hear you. It works off sight. She does know some sign language, like no and sit and stuff like that. Really, the only things I need her to know, like come here, you know, stuff like that. Havana's been awesome. She's been a great dog. She really has. Charlotte, she's super cute, but sometimes she can be a little bit annoying since she's deaf. Especially at like 3 a.m. when she tries to get your attention, and by her attention, she paws you in the face. That really sucks, especially when you like wake up and you got like these scratch marks like Wolverine got you, or Freddy Krueger or something. Yeah, she does that. But anyways, guys, let's end this live stream. 101 minutes. Thank you. I was about to say Charlotte, but she can't hear me. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate your support as always. I'll see you next Friday. I think there might be more questions. Anyways, if you have any questions I missed, you can email me, sales@614fish.com. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll try to do a members-only live stream maybe this weekend. I will be at Ohio Fish Rescue on Sunday, so maybe I'll do a live stream while I'm up there or something. I don't know. We'll see.